Hi, welcome back to EducateTube.com. My name is Sipsky, your host. In this video, I'm going to update my firmware for my Sigma FP from 3.0 to 5.0. I'll show you the general step on how to do it, and I'll talk about what I think about it. Let's get started. Alright, I hope you're ready to update the Sigma FP firmware. I'm updating from 3.0 to 5.0, so that's a big jump, and it works for me. The question you probably ask yourself, is it worth it? Well, for me, yeah, I think so. I think I didn't update the 2 firmware, now it's 5.0. Now the EL zone and the warm color, that's the one I'm interested in. Is it an amazing feature? I think it's all right. I still don't even know how to use the EL zone, but I heard from other people using it, they think it's better than false color. So for exposing images and scene, it might be helpful, but I still myself need to learn about it. So yeah, I don't know if that's beneficial for me right now. And the warm color gold, I think that may be another color profile that I might use. So again, that's not bad. I'm just very happy that Sigma actually update their older camera. This is the Sigma FP that's been around for I don't know how many, like 3-4 years now. And when I purchased it, I didn't expect it for them to keep updating, which is showing their loyalty to their customers, which I love. And I thank Sigma for that, for continuing on to work on this camera. This several $1,000 cinema camera is worth more than that because of their dedication to this camera. They show that they really care about the customer. Whereas the Sony cameras that I own, I have owned several of them. The current one that I have is A7R3, and that camera is pretty much almost twice as expensive as this, and they haven't updated their firmware for years. The camera is even more expensive than A7 IV, and yet A7 IV has much more feature than my A7R3, which doesn't make sense to me. I just feel like they just keep producing camera without having that backbone support for their previous customers. And this is why I hesitate on buying Sony latest greatest camera, because I feel like every time I buy something, within a year it's obsolete because they don't update their firmware or make it better. It just feel like they just maybe mod a little bit of it and they say, okay, we're going to release a new model and say it's better or it's not the same. So to me, that's like saying a computer and you can't install a software to it, right? Like when you buy it, it's just a year old, which to me is ridiculous. So I hope Sony will change their way of doing things. Maybe that's how they make their profits. But in terms of loyalty, I think Sigma company really care about the customer. So again, thank you Sigma for doing that. Let me show you right now how I do my firmware update. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you go to Sigma website. So sigma-global.com, and then just search for it. And here we have the firmware download. And then just read the conditions and all that, and list of things that is updated from 4.0 to 5.0. So I went from 3 to 5, so there's a lot of new things that's happening with the firmware. So you need to click here. It's a 24.34 megabytes of data. So this is FP underline V500 dot bin. Okay, so that's what you need to. What you want to do is you take out the SD card from the Sigma FP. Now make sure you format it in the FP camera. Then what you do, you take that SD out and put it in your computer. Hopefully you have a SD slot. Then you download the file, okay? And then once you download it, you should be able to locate it. And I have it somewhere here. Let me show you. Yeah, so it's located here in one of my directory. And then what I'll do is I drag and drop into my SD card, and I'm ready to go. Okay, then I'll insert it into my camera, and of course, let me show you right now what I'm going to do next. Basically turn on my camera and go to the menu where it's a firmware update. Let me show you right now. Alright, so now you have downloaded the firmware from the website. What you need to do next is put the SD card into the camera, and then of course turn it on. Okay, so what you want to do is go to the menu. I don't know if you can see the video here. Let me see if I can try to show it to you. Oops. So I hook up the HDMI to my screen here so you can see. Hopefully it doesn't turn itself off once I update it. So what you want to do is go click on menu, and under system, okay, you want to go down to firmware update. Now I assume that you have your firmware bin installed into your SD card already. Now remember, it's in the root drive, okay, the root directory, and then you go to firmware update camera, and it will ask you, do you want to start the firmware? Okay, as you can see right now it's 3. I want to update to 5, and I say yes. Now make sure you have a full battery capacity when you do this, otherwise it might shut off halfway. I say yes, and so it's updating right now. So it's showing that the camera is restarting automatic once the update is complete. Wow, that was fast. There we go, it's done. That fast, within like what, 10 seconds? All right, so it looks like it's updated. Let me check again. Go to system, firmware update. 5.0, perfect. Now let's see what is new here. Now the 2 features that I really like and most likely will be using is the EL zone. That's one. I heard it's better than the false color, but I would have to test it out first to really tell you whether it's good or not. I have not tested yet the EL zone, but I heard it's pretty good for getting your exposure correct compared to the false color. So we'll see how that goes. Let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see now. There we go. Okay. So what you need to do is you have to go to the shoot menu, and underneath the shoot menu, under the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th submenu, there's a false color. You can see there. Okay, and click on that, and you'll see the standard set right now is false color, but I can set it to EL zone. There we go. All right, so I assigned the EL zone to this button here, AEL. So when I press the button, you can see it works pretty well. Now, of course, I still don't fully understand it. I will need to maybe read up about it, but by assigning a button here, I can actually figure out whether my image is under or overexposed just looking at the color pattern. But again, I had to train myself because I'm so used to other way of doing it. And now I have this special mode that I can just press, and I'm in EL zone. So it's one of the firmware update that's pretty useful. The other one that might be useful for you is the one that's assigned to color mode. So right now it's under standard, but I can set it to the one that I have. Let me see. Oops. There we go. Let's see. It's under warm gold. There we go. Warm gold. Okay. So this is warm gold. If you like warm gold, it has a particular color to it, bring out the mood, almost like rusty kind of look. So that's another useful one. So these are the 2 that I find could be useful for me when I'm filming, but the rest I haven't really explored, but I did update the firmware 5.0. Is it great? Well, you know what? It is kind of underwhelming in my case. First of all, I need to get used to using the EL zone, and hopefully that's going to be quite useful for me. We'll see how that goes. The warm gold, well, you know, it's like another option to have. The one thing I have to say to Sigma is thank you, Sigma, for continuing to update this camera, even though it's several years old. Not like Sony company where you buy it and that's it, they forget about it. Like I have Sony a7R III, and I'm still waiting for an update that is at least equivalent to, you know, a7 IV or something like that, that, you know, I pay almost as much as a7 IV, and yet, you know, actually I pay more than that, and yet they're not updating the firmware. They can blame it on the hardware, you can blame it on the software, but I'm sure, just like Sigma, they can figure it out. So this is one thing I don't like about big company. They think they can keep churning out new product all the time without software support, which I think the hardware can support some of the feature which has been implemented in a7R III. And like I said, that's why I enjoy camera like Sigma and Fujifilm and even Panasonic. All those 3 camera, they're pretty good at updating firmware and making it quite useful, and continue to make the camera useful. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a little heart of appreciation, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.